Hey Sunshine Fam, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Chloe Murphy, and I thank you for finding my channel and joining me today for what is a very urgent call for help from all of you. Not for me, but for a very dear and who I consider close personal friend, and I also consider him the love of my life. I don't really talk much about him because he's somewhat of a celebrity, but I don't care about that. I don't care about his celebrity status. I don't care about his money. I care about his heart. I care about him as a person. Somebody that I have met several times over the years, and I'm here to tell you those stories and to plead with you to please pray for him. Donate if you can, because he's going to need a lot of help. So I'll just jump right into this. Back in 2009, I was going through deep depression. And for those of you that don't know, I have dealt with depression most of my life. And it goes all the way back into my childhood when I was going through abuse with a family member abusing me. And I've pretty much overcome it for the most part. It does still show its ugly head once in a while. And especially in the winter, I have been officially diagnosed by a doctor with SAD. And last year it wasn't nearly as bad because it was a mild winter, but I digress from the purpose of this video. So back in high school, I had a lot of friends that were a grade younger than me. When I was a senior, they were juniors, and one of those persons was named Barb. And after we graduated, she attended my first wedding. I have been married twice. I'm not looking for husband number 3, but she had attended my wedding, and I was her personal assistant for her wedding. And fast forward a little bit, the first marriage of mine broke up in divorce, and I hadn't talked to her for over 20 years. So around 2009, she had found me on Facebook. Well, I wasn't really into the paranormal at that time. I mean, I had heard that the Hotel del Coronado in California, Coronado, San Diego area, was haunted. And so at the beginning of the year, I know I'm kind of taking sidetracks here, but I will get back to where I need to be. The beginning of the year, around January or so, I started looking up videos on the Hotel Del about its hauntings. And I came across this video of a TV show that had aired in the UK. And I don't know if it eventually made it to the US, but it was a show that was on for 3 years, and it was called Dead Famous. And in that show, it was an all British cast, or all UK cast. Well, not cast, but like crew. And then the two stars, if you will, of the show were a Scottish woman by the name of Gail Porter and an American man by the name of Chris Fleming. Now, some of you guys may know the name Chris Fleming because Chris Fleming, the other Chris Fleming, is a comedian, but this Chris Fleming is a paranormal investigator. And it wasn't really like a scripted show. It was, Gail was a skeptic, and Chris had dealt with spirits and ghosts since he was 7 years old, I believe. And so they did this show, and to try to look for the spirits of those that had been famous that had passed on. And in this particular episode, they were looking for Lucille Ball. And so Gail had done some research and had found out about the Hotel del Coronado that Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz used to frequent when they were alive, and they fell in love with the place. And she had also heard about this ghost by the name of Kate Morgan, that wasn't her real name, that also resided in the hotel. So Chris and Gail went down, and the crew went down to San Diego. They were filming around LA, and they went down to San Diego and crossed the bridge into Coronado, and they filmed at the Hotel Del. And that's when I first had heard of Chris Fleming. And the videos are all on YouTube, so you can check them out. They were called Dead Famous, and they looked up different people. They had actually gone to the Whaley House one time in Old Town, San Diego, which is why I'm wearing this shirt. It's Old Town Mexican Cafe, which is right across the street from this location, the Whaley House, where Gail and Chris had gone to look for Jim Morrison, who used to frequent the house as well. And so I looked up that video, and there was another man here in the Twin Cities by the name of Dave Schrader. And he's done different radio shows. He's done podcasts. He was on Darkness Radio for a while. He recently did an interview for WCCO Radio where he interviewed Chris. Unfortunately, I didn't get to hear most of it. I found out about it right at the last 5 minutes of the show. So I didn't get to hear that whole thing because I was out and about that day. Anyway, Dave decided to put on a paranormal conference here in town in the Twin Cities. And so I signed up to go because I had heard that Chris Fleming was going to be part of this paranormal conference where he had different people from the paranormal field. They each get up and speak about their expertise and give information about the paranormal, sell things off their tables. There'd be like a meet and greet with these people all weekend. So I attended that. And going back to this friend Barb, during that summer, I was summer into fall, right around this time of year, I tend to start going into the depression. The SAD starts to kick in. And so I was posting things on my Facebook page that basically just said, it was generalized statements that said, a silent depressive is not a good thing. Because usually people that are depressed and are contemplating suicide normally tell people that they're thinking about it. And those that don't tell are usually the ones you need to watch out for, myself included. So anyway, I started posting things like that on my Facebook page. Now, this was around September, and the conference wasn't going to be until October. This was in 2009. And in the summer, I had requested Chris's friendship on Facebook, and he had accepted. So giddy schoolgirl, I'm dancing around the house, and then I can't believe this famous guy has accepted my friendship, and blah, blah, blah. This is way before all these scammers have come out. And so I did get a chance to talk to him a little bit, and I'd post on his Facebook page, and he'd comment back to me, or, he'd like my comments on his postings, whatever. So I get this message one night in September, and it was from this Barb. And she said, you're really bringing me down. And everything that I had been telling myself for 20 years about how my marriage had ended, and then I had gotten remarried to the second guy, and that marriage ended, and I had been abused by both of those husbands, and that's why I got out of the marriages. And so she started throwing all this stuff in my face that I had been beating myself up over for 20 years. Well, at the time, Clary and Silver Star were living with me, and they were out working this particular evening, and I was listening to one of Chris's podcasts. Well, the subject of the podcast was witchcraft, which I am not into at all. Don't really, I wouldn't say I don't believe in witchcraft, but it just kind of a subject I'm not interested in, but I just happened to listen to it. And I came this close to getting up from that podcast in the middle of it, and with the intention of going to the grocery store and buying a box of sleeping pills with the intent of taking all of them. in hopes of not waking up the next morning. I was that depressed. Well, something kept me in my chair that night, and it forced me to listen to what Chris and this woman that he was interviewing were talking about. And basically their story was positive creates positive, negative creates negative. And we, living in today's society, can all understand that. And Chris had said something in this podcast that really spoke to my heart. And he said, oh, this person said this bad thing about me, and this person did that bad thing, and all this. He goes, at times you just got to try to be strong and let that all wash down your shoulders and off your back, and know that you're better than that. And those are the words I needed to hear. And so for whatever reason, I was listening to that podcast, and something kept me from going to the store that night. Obviously, it didn't work because I'm still here, me taking my life, I mean. And so fast forward to October, I thank Chris Fleming for saving my life that evening. So as the conference was getting close, I was messaging with him, and I said, there's something important I really need to talk to you about. And I said, I'm going to be at this conference that you're going to attend in the Twin Cities, and I want to tell you face to face. So I go to the conference, and Dave Schrader comes up to me and, says hi. And he knew that I kind of sort of had like a celebrity crush on Chris Fleming. So Chris is talking to somebody, and I'm just waiting patiently. Chris kind of glances at me and, recognizes that I'm there, and then Dave comes up and slaps him on the back and goes, hey, Chris, here, check out this person. And so I let him, I'm starting to turn beet red as he's saying that. So Chris finishes his conversation, and he turns to me and he says, oh, yes, Chloe. Yeah, nice to meet you. And I told him the story about how he saved my life. And he went to go and give me a hug. And then he kind of backed away. He's like, is that okay? And I'm thinking, hell yeah, it's okay. So he came forward and he gave me this great big hug. And at the time, prior to me meeting him, I'm in the main lobby area of this hotel where this conference is being held at, and I'm talking to one of the vendors. And I kind of knew what Chris looked like from these videos. So Chris comes walking through the venue, not seeing me because he was kind of a distance away, kind of looking around at all the vendors and stuff, what they were selling. And I looked up and I went, oh my God, this man is drop dead gorgeous, okay? I mean, we're talking GQ model gorgeous, okay? And Chris, if you're watching this, I'm sorry to embarrass you, but you are beautiful on the outside. But I'll get to that in a second. So anyway, I go up and I'm hugging Chris Fleming, and I'm just like, giddy schoolgirl again. I'm like, I can't believe I'm hugging Chris Fleming. Oh my gosh. And I went to break the hug, and he held me tighter. And so I continued with the hug, and I felt all this love just exuding off of him onto me. And all that giddiness washed away. And all of a sudden I'm like, I'm being hugged by Chris Fleming. My mood just totally changed in that embrace. And so he finally broke the hug, and he wiped tears from his eyes. I made him cry. I didn't mean to. And he said to me, when I'm sitting down, doing these podcasts, it's just me in my office with a computer and my microphone, and I have no idea if anybody's listening to me, kind of how I feel with these YouTube videos. I don't know if anybody's listening to me. I don't know if my words are affecting anybody or anything. He said, I want to thank you for being here to tell me that story. And that really touched me. And he was crying. And that touched me too. And it was in that instant I fell in love with that man. I fell in love with him because of his heart. Like I said, I don't care about his celebrity. I don't care about his money. His good looks are just a bonus. I love his heart. His huge heart. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. So after telling him that story, I asked him if I could take a picture with him. And at the time, he was dating somebody, and he goes, yeah, I think my girlfriend's around here somewhere. And I went, not your girlfriend. Um, so again, Chris, I'm sorry. I'm hoping I'm making you laugh, which you really need to do. So his girlfriend took a picture of the two of us. And this is that picture. This was after me telling him how he saved my life. This was in 2009. You can see how beautiful he is. Absolutely gorgeous. So that was in 2009 in the Twin Cities. So then we continued with the weekend. I did a reading with him. That's when I found out I had a brother. Didn't know I had a brother. That's a totally different story and a totally different video. So over the years, certain times I couldn't attend conferences that he was a part of. And sometimes I would attend conferences that he wasn't a part of. So it's not like I go to these paracons just to see him. It's a bonus, but sometimes I go just to go because there's other people I'd be interested in meeting that I've seen. Chris has been on shows like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, Paranormal Challenge, Psychic Kids, like I said, Dead Famous. He's done some in the UK called Help My House is Haunted, Haunted Ireland he's doing right now. He was recently doing Haunted Scotland, I think, too, where he reunited with Gail Porter, I believe. And incidentally, for those of you that are Chicago Blackhawks fans or any kind of hockey fan from way back in the day, his father was Reggie Fleming. And his dad played NHL hockey for 13 years. And he was the one that helped the Blackhawks win the Stanley Cup in 1961, I think it was. He was the one that scored the winning goal. So one of these conferences I couldn't attend, but a good friend of mine that I met at one of the Chicago Ghost Cons took a picture of Chris for me. Unfortunately, the glass in this picture is broken and the picture is a little bit fuzzy, but she took this picture of him, which I absolutely love. I love his smile. His smile is so gorgeous. It's childlike, but adult, you know? It's just, I love him so much. So then, one time he came to Minnesota, and up in Mahnomen, Minnesota, I wasn't able to attend the conference, but I thought, you know, I have loved this man for so many years, and I want to be crazy. So I got in my car when I knew he was up there, and I drove 3 hours to go up to Mahnomen, Minnesota, which is about an hour outside of Fargo, North Dakota, and I live in the Twin Cities, so that was quite a hike for me. And I went up there with the purpose of, only the purpose of telling him that I love him, and I did. And he said, thank you. I didn't expect him to say it back because he doesn't really know me. And he gave me another hug. Every time I see him, we exchange hugs. And so this is the picture that I had somebody take of him and me after I told him I love him. And incidentally, you know, he gets better looking every year. He doesn't age at all. And over the years, every so often, I get these dreams when I'm sleeping of him and me getting together in my dreams. At first, it started where I was just attending an event that he was a part of, and I'd try to go up and talk to him, and people were kind of blocking me, and he'd come up and talk to me, but in a friendly kind of way. But these dreams have kind of progressed to where he wants to be with me. Wishful thinking, I know. These dreams have led to him and I kissing each other. Then I wake up and find out I'm in bed alone, which really sucks. Haven't had one of these dreams in a long time, but I told him about it, and he messaged me back and said it's just the universe saying that our souls are connected. I don't, you know, I'm sorry to say that I don't feel the same way about you in that way. So then he again attended a paracon up in Mahnomen, Minnesota, and I attended that one as well because he was there. And this was when he did another reading for me, and he drew a picture, which you can't really see the picture very well. I can try to show you on my wall. I still have it hanging on my wall, but this is that. And yeah, remember when Coke did have a Coke with a certain person? I just happened to grab a Coke one time, and it said have a Coke with Christopher, and that is his name. So I have that on here. So that was after he drew this picture of this angel that has been around me since birth. And I asked him what the name of the angel was, and he said he wanted to say it was Gabriel, but then the angel was saying no. And apparently this angel is enormous and always is around me, and it has its wing. In the picture that he drew, it had its wing around me in front, kind of protecting me. And I have that hanging on my wall, and it really means a lot to me. Now for the meat and potatoes. This past week has been more difficult for him than it's been for me and all of his fans. But I'm sure that all of his fans and all of his close friends, and especially his family, his dad has since passed away in 2009. I guess his mom has been having health issues of her own. And he has a sister that raises horses in Kentucky. And he lives in the Chicagoland area. So he posted on his Facebook that he had late stage MDS, which means that his bone marrow was not producing healthy blood cells. And he's been dealing with health issue after health issue since around, well, for many years. He had a car accident back in 2009, and maybe that's where this whole thing started. I don't know. But at least for the last few years, 2016, 2018, something like that, he's been just having all these health issues. He's had, bad back, probably because of the car accident. And in high school and college, he played football, and so that can do a lot to a person's body later in life. And so he ended up in the hospital for a few days back in June. May or June, or May and June, I think. And he said they're not sure what is going on, but he was very weak, having a hard time breathing, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. So they finally get the bone marrow, they finally decided to do a bone marrow biopsy to find out really what was going on. And so about a week ago, he posted that he had late stage MDS. And he was very concerned about this, and so he was asking people to send love and light and pray and all this stuff. Dave Schrader has set up a GoFundMe for Chris. So you can probably go to GoFundMe. I don't remember the name of the link or whatever, but you could probably go to GoFundMe and type in Chris Fleming, and it'll be there. The goal was to raise $20,000 for Chris to help him with everyday expenses like utilities and groceries and mortgage and everyday things for the next 6 months. And when I looked the other day, it was already over $15,000. So thank you to all of you that have donated to him. Unfortunately, I have my own medical expenses that I'm dealing with, so unfortunately I can't donate financially, but this is my way of donating. Then a couple days later, he posted that the bone marrow biopsy came back and 70% of his body has acute leukemia. So this, of course, has hit all of his friends and family and fans very, very hard, Dave Schrader included. And I've been having a really hard time dealing with it too. But after the initial shock, the last several days I have been coming home from work and crying my eyes out. I've been crying at work because all I can think about is, this disease that he's got, that I'm praying for a miracle to happen for him. And I know God can still do miracles. So I plead with all of you to please add Chris Fleming to your prayers. If you can donate to him on GoFundMe, we would all really appreciate that. We can't lose him. He is very, very important. And maybe it's selfish for me to say that, to want to keep him around. I know he's probably suffering. He's obviously not posting as much because he's going to be going through treatment. He hasn't given much detail about all this. He's got some upcoming events. One of them I'm planning on going to with Silver Star. He said that he may have to delegate some of these events to other people unless he feels good enough to go. And so Silver Star and I are going to be attending one next month, in a couple weeks actually, down in Illinois. And hopefully he can make it to that. If not, I bought a couple of cards for him today that whoever he gets to delegate this can maybe give these cards directly to Chris. Chris, if you are watching this, I love you very, very much. Not as a celebrity, but as a human being. My heart is breaking for you, and I'm trying to be strong for you. So I send my love and light to you, and my good thoughts to you. You are a fighter, and I know that you're fighting right now. And I know that you know about the other side, and I know that I can continue talking to you from the other side, but I want to be the one up there first. You know, I wish I could take this from you. 15 years ago, you saved my life, Chris. And it kills me that I can't do the same for you. All I can do is pray and hope that my words are words of encouragement for you. I wore this shirt. I was going to wear a shirt that I bought, one of the shirts that I bought from you, that has the angel on the front with the Bible verse on the back that says he will give his angels charge over you and bring you peace. And I pray that for you. San Diego brought us together. And now every time I go there, I will be thinking of you. Every time I visit Old Town or Coronado, I will be thinking of you. Every time I see that cup I bought, you gave to me, or anytime I see a picture of you, I will be thinking of you and sending you prayers and love. Because, Chris, I do love you very, very much. And my heart is breaking for you, just like your thousands of fans out there. You have to beat this thing, buddy. You really do. I love you. And you got many more years to live there, buddy. Come on. God can't take the good ones all the time. And the young ones, he's my age, you guys. You know, and I won't say what that age is. Some of you guys already know how old I am, so you can guess how old he is. He's only a couple months younger than me. I was born in March and he was born in May. Same year. And so, Chris, I'm pulling for you. And to my 300 subscribers, my Sunshine fam, we need the sunshine on him. This past week, I wanted to go to bed, and I wanted to take some medication to put me to sleep and not wake up the next day. But for some reason, God wants to keep me around. Maybe I am Chris's light now. He was mine, and now maybe I'm his. And it reminds me of, I deal with the death of friends and certain family members. Very, very difficult. My grandfather, for instance, whose chair this is and whose picture is right here. I lost him when I was 12, and I was very close to him, and it hit me hard. When I was living in Elgin, Illinois, I had a very good friend. At the time, she was in her 30s, and she was deaf. She was born deaf, and I knew a little bit of sign language, like the finger spelling mostly, but I did know, like, hi, how are you? But she taught me. I would finger spell something out to her, and she would teach me the sign so that I could communicate easier with her. And her name was Belinda, and she unfortunately was killed in a car accident, and I didn't find out for a week, and her death really hit me hard. I was still suffering a week later because I was very close to her. She was like, she never had a bad word to say about anybody, ever. And I know that sounds funny for me to say it that way because she was deaf, but she really opened up my eyes to certain things that we take for granted. We were walking around the block when she was having a house party one time, or a housewarming party, because she and her husband had moved from Elgin to Rockford, Illinois, and me and my kids had gone. And we were walking around the block with her mother-in-law, and I heard a cardinal. I love cardinals. And I heard a cardinal, and I said, oh, listen to the cardinal. I always consider the cardinal to be my grandfather, because my grandfather loved cardinals. And so she could read lips, and so she said, what were you saying? And I said, oh, I could hear a cardinal. And she said, what is a cardinal? And I said, it's a bird. And she goes, how do you know it's a cardinal? Being born deaf, she had never heard the difference of birds' songs, that a sparrow sounds different than an eagle, for instance, or that different dogs make different barks. And it's stuff like that that we take for granted, us hearing people take for granted, that really woke me up. I mean, she was being completely sincere, and it just wakes you up to realize I can see, I can hear, and you guys might be thinking, how could she die in a car crash? She wasn't blind. She was deaf, so she couldn't hear. She was the most conscientious driver I ever had the privilege of riding in a car with. She was constantly looking around, making sure that she wasn't going to cut anybody off, somebody wasn't going to cut her off. When she'd get to train tracks, she would stop and look for the trains, especially at ones that didn't have the red flashing lights at it, you know, that just had the sign. She was the most conscientious driver, and unfortunately somebody coming the other direction, we don't know exactly what happened, but the lady lost control of her car, went down into the ditch, kind of whacked her car, both cars overturned, spun, you know, end over end, not like hood to trunk, but like side to side, like wheels to roof to wheels to roof. And they both landed up, they spun like 7 times, I think, 7 or 8 times, and they both landed on the hood, and both drivers were killed instantly, including my friend. And that one really took me hard. And then I had another friend that I met years later. Well, no, maybe I did know her when I knew Belinda. I don't remember. But I was living in Illinois at the time, and I met this girl through AOL, I believe it was, and through a chat room, a Christian online chat room. And we got to talking, and her name was Sandy. And she lived in Jacksonville, Florida, and I lived in Illinois. And we had talked on the phone a couple times, and she and I always had this thing. I was cooking steak one time, and I told her, you know, we were having steak, and she goes, oh, do you know what cows in the South say? And I said, no. She said, moo, y'all, moo, 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 which I thought was really funny. So we always had this thing between us. Well, her birthday was right around Christmas. It was like the 23rd or 24th of December. And right after Christmas, she was in the hospital in January, right after the New Year. And she had posted something that she was in the hospital. She had had a lot of different health issues. And she had died one time, and they brought her back to life. It was something with her heart. And I did get to Skype with her, but I never got to meet her in person, face to face, only through Skype. And one time I'm on Facebook, and I get this message that somebody had tagged her in. And they said, I'm going to miss my Aunt Sandy. Well, Sandy, I knew was an only child. So I thought, okay, maybe this person is talking about their aunt that also happens to be named Sandy. And they said, rest in the arms of Jesus, Sandy, and her last name. And I just fell to the floor, and I went, wait a minute, what? And I started texting on the, you know, answering this person. I said, tell me Sandy didn't die. And they said, yeah, she passed away last Friday, and this was like Monday. I was devastated. And this is when Sea Dog and Silver Star lived in one apartment in the complex, and I lived upstairs. I had started out in their apartment, and then we were playing musical apartments, so to speak. So then I moved to the 3rd floor. They stayed on the 1st floor in the apartment I started out in. I ran down the stairs, pounded on their door. Sea-Dog opened the door. I collapsed into his arms, and all I could say was, she died. Sandy died. Oh my God, Sandy died. I could not stop crying. And that's how I feel about this news with Chris. I feel he is very close and very special to me. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. We can't lose him, guys. There's got to be a miracle. He's got to live to be old age. So please, pray for Chris. Donate to him on his GoFundMe page through Dave Schrader. And his last name is spelled Fleming. Not with 2 M's, but 1. And I'm sure they probably like blew $20,000 out of the water. I'm sure it's over that now. I haven't checked lately. But I'm sure that they're well over 20 grand at this point, especially after he said that he has leukemia. So that's what made this video so hard for me to make. So please, I'm calling on all of you, my Sunshine fam, to please pray for him every single day. I'll try to keep you guys updated in future videos. You guys can always go to my Facebook page, Chloe Murphy. I know I've showed you what it looks like. I know there's a lot of Chloe Murphys out there, but my profile picture is a picture of me and Chris. Last time I saw him in person was in 2021 in Duluth when he was at another Paracon, and Sea-Dog went up with us because he always wanted to see Duluth. And it was at that time that Sea-Dog got to meet Chris Fleming. And as you people know, Sea-Dog's real name is Chris. And so when I introduced the two of them, I turned to my son, I said, Chris, meet Chris. Chris, this is Chris. So they gave each other a handshake, and I got a picture of the two of them together at that time. And that was before I moved to Amarillo for 4 months. And I haven't seen Chris since. Chris Fleming, that is. Obviously, I've seen Sea-Dog. And I'm hoping that he's going to be feeling good enough to attend this event that he has graciously agreed to be a part of. If he's not, I'll be sad, but I'll understand that he's fighting for his life right now. So with that, I don't want to keep talking and then have the battery almost run out of on my camera. But this isn't about me today. This is about Chris. And I'm not going to repeat myself again to ask you to pray for him and donate, whatever. If you can leave a comment below for Chris, not for me. I don't want to know how good a video this was, or that, you guys are there for me. I appreciate that because I know that you guys are. I know that you guys know that I'm having a hard time because I cried a little bit in this video. But he's the one that needs you right now. He needs all of us. So any comments that you guys make, please make them for Chris. And I will try to figure out a way to get them to him. I know that he is also a friend of mine on my Facebook page, both of them. And so I will probably post this video on both of my Facebook pages. And I will tag him in it so that he can watch this video as well. So if you're going to leave any comments on this video, please leave them in the comment section below for him. And if you're watching this on my Facebook page, leave any comments for him, please. Because I'm hoping that he will see this video. So Chris, we're pulling for you. You got to beat this. God cannot turn a deaf ear to thousands. I pray for your peace and for your health and your healing, and that you go into remission and that it never comes back again. and that you live a long, healthy life for your mom, for your sister, for your cats. He's got a cat named Noir that's been having health problems, but now the cat is doing better. He's got another cat. I haven't heard much about his cats, but at one time he had 3 cats. Noir is his oldest one, and then he had Sweden, which was a beautiful white cat, and then his sister had a cat born on her farm, I think, and it was born around Christmas time. So that cat's name is Noel. And so I'm not sure if he still has all 3 cats, but he's been talking a lot about Noir because Noir's been having the health problems. Noir is a black cat. I don't know breeds of cats very well, so I know Siamese and I know a coon, but I don't know what a coon cat looks like. But Noir is a black cat, Sweden is a white cat, and Noel is kind of a tabby. I know what a tabby cat is. It's kind of a tabby cat, but it's not orange, it's more brown and black and white. So your cats need you, your friends need you, your sister, your mom, and all of us. We are the last ones that you should be thinking of. You should think of your mom and your sister and your cats. And know that they need you, we need you, we all love you very, very much, Chris. So we're pulling for you. And now I've got 300 more people, hopefully, praying for you. And hopefully donating to you as well. And I'm sorry I can't donate. I'm sure you understand. But I'll keep all my Sunshine fam up to date on his health situation. And hopefully I don't have to make a video saying that the worst has happened. We're not even going to think about that. He's going to live a long life. He's going to live to be over 100 years old. I have faith in that. So at this point, I'm going to say thank you guys for joining me today. Thank you for praying for Chris. Thank you for donating to him if you can. And just send love and light to him. Leave your comments for him. You guys have a sunny day, especially you, Chris. I love you, brother. I love you, buddy. I love you. Have a sunny day.